Yeah. First of all, I'm sure you all know about the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and for 2030, which is a very interesting agenda with, you know, changing the world. I don't know how they're going to do it, how we are going to do it, but it's very, very ambitious. And there's a lot there for equality, and there's a lot about women. There's the development goal number 5, for example, about gender equality and all the things that would have to be done. But also in number 8, decent work. What does it mean, decent work for people, and linked to the economic growth? Of course, all the others are extremely important as well, as you probably know. So this is one of the arguments that we are thinking of now. Are we working in that direction? Yeah. So gender equality, and yes. So our research question is actually these flexible forms of work. Do they have an impact on discrimination? Do they have an impact on inclusion? The whole idea is to be more inclusive. But is it true? Yeah. How does it affect minorities, for example? How does it shape gender identity? Who is what gender, etc.? Does flexible working create more inclusion? And does it advance the SDGs 5 and 8? Those are a number of questions. So today I'm not going to talk about all of them, because that would be too long, etc. But more about the number 1 question is about how does it affect, does it create more inclusion or not? So the research is actually our institution, which is higher education. And it is a study on how mobile working was organized among administrative staff. There's a lot of literature about mobile working, because I mean, the academic staff, they have this academic freedom. They organize their lives much more than administrative staff who are supposed to be in the office, yeah, doing the work.
Mary,
so
sorry.
We are using. Sorry.
Please maximize your screen. Slides share.
It is shared. Well, let me stop it and share again.
No. You're able to see.
Now what did I do? Share screen. Ah, yes, can you see it?
Yeah, please maximize the slideshow, open slideshow.
Open slideshow, but it is open here.
On the bottom, there is a cup shape.
Open here.
Yes.
It is open.
So
let's see if this then works. It is open now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but what they want is to maximize it.
Yeah, I did it. So it doesn't. It is. Right.
Maybe you stop share and show it again.
I just did it. I just did it.
Then
I am screen sharing.
okay. I don't know. Then we have to call the.
Yeah.
Can
you see the full screen now?
Yeah, we are able to see, but can you maximize that?
It is max. I cannot blow it up anymore.
Yeah. Okay, please carry on. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. That's fine. No, but yes. No, this is a very. Are you okay now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So the theoretical framework we're using is Pierre Bourdieu's social theory. You know, the whole social theory in a specific field, actually. And the social theory about Pierre Bourdieu is very, very interesting, because it is about, as you can see here, social capital, economic capital, and symbolic capital, right? So, for example, the economic capital for women is that they earn money, right? The social capital is having a network, which is also very important at work. And the symbolic capital is how much power, how are they seen in society, how much power. So this is the framework we are using actually. And as a methodological framework, it was a narrative interviews. We interviewed people. We did about 40 something, no, more than that, global analysis of using MaxQDA. I don't know if you know these systems, etc. But grounded theory methods. And okay, this is so. The organization has more than 2,400 employees and about 800 in management and administration. Now, it's on, but it shouldn't be because now I have an echo. The organization wants to deal with diversity. The organization really has the kind of ideal of we want to be diverse and we want to be inclusive. Our sample is a pilot group, and between 2002 and 2020, there was a pilot group. I mean, when I got into the study, I said, okay, a pilot group for 20 years, you know, nearly 20 years pilot, and no study had been done about what happens really. Was it positive, negative? What were the results of this pilot study? So that was the first interesting that we did. But these then, of course, people were also included into the Corona times where everybody was working online. And we interviewed the people, 43 individual interviews, all areas, including accounting, IT, HR, etc. Mostly women, yeah, only 9 men. Because these are the people who were included in this study, this pilot group of people who were allowed to work from home for 1 or 2 days a week, etc. Almost all in permanent employment contracts, different hierarchical categories. We have managers in there. And we looked at what their experience was, what the challenges were, what their individual needs were, also why did they want to work from home, and the shifts. We have in this group actually 3 very different groups. We have women with childcare responsibilities. We have female and male leaders with children and with a long experience in the organization. And we have non-typical female and male leaders who were, for example, people in IT. IT had a special status because we need them and they're expensive, as you know, and they earn more money in the private market than they do at a university. And the foreigners, the non-Austrians. This is an Austrian university. So a special status for those people, which is a kind of why. Yeah. Okay. So the first case is women with childcare responsibilities, and especially with young children after maternity leave. Now I have to say a little bit about childcare, which is a big issue in Austria. I don't know if you know the German-speaking culture a little bit in Europe. So Germany, Austria, Switzerland, very, very traditional compared to other countries in Europe, right? Where they expect the woman to take care of the children, stay at home, for example. So this is you have to take into keep in mind. So the principle is you have to be in the office. Everybody has to be there at all times. That is so they only make exceptions. That was the idea for a specific group after maternity leave. But your leader, so in your department or in your office, would have to agree, which created a kind of bad atmosphere because there was a lot of envy. Why can she and why can I not? Yeah. It created a kind of conflict sometimes between people. It had to be people with professional experience, so the newcomers were not allowed to have that kind of facility. And they even now they say, yeah, the bonding is so important, they have to be in the office, etc. Even now. And it should be possible to do it from home, of course. The whole aim was very positive, create what we call work-life balance. But what does it mean? Work-life balance, this whole issue. What does it mean, work-life balance? It's such an invention, right? Increase income so that women can earn money, right? That was one of the issues as well. And for the organization, it was a kind of attractive point because we need qualified employees. We need to be able to attract them and to keep them. That was the issue. Some interviews, but I think we cannot go through all of them. Yeah, I might be particularly fortunate because I get the permission to work from home. I have to go to kindergarten. I can work before, work after, and for the time when I have to pick up the children. I'm not at the computer for a short time when I'm taking care of the children. So this is before Corona, right? So they organized their work as they liked, actually. Yeah. At the same time, sorry, oops, what am I doing here? At the same time, there was a kind of pressure. Or can I show that I've done my job? Right? If I'm not in the office, a kind of pressure on that. So the advantages, flexible work, yeah, home office, adapt your life to your personal space, to do kind of empower at home, etc. And created a lot of intrinsic motivation, commitment to the offices because they felt privileged. And of course, they earn money, their own money. But what we also found is that the women who earn this money, they use it for the children. They don't use it for themselves. Whereas, or hobbies or sport differences. The idea of work-life balance is seen as a women's issue. It is not a man's issue. It is not a father's issue. It's a women's issue. It's a mother's issue. They have to get organized. Yeah. So it reinforces this traditional role, which was really also during Corona, as we know, come back where we noticed during Corona times everywhere in the world that actually the women were doing so much more work than the man, right? At the same time. So it reinforces this whole idea. It limits the woman at home, actually, because she has to combine, she's doing two jobs at the same time. She is doing her job, her office job, and she is doing the childcare at the same time. Yeah, and the household at the same time. How can you combine these two at the same time? Yeah, it's something that people never think about when they think of work-life balance. It's not balance at all. Yeah, it is just pressure, more pressure. Yeah, so there's no time to develop your career. There's no time for networking. There's no time for extra courses on something. So it is very, very bad actually for your career. Yeah, you're stuck in where you are, etc. So it's very much oriented towards this binary gender, this heteronormativity, right? Where maternity is women's business and they should be able to cope and to adapt, etc., etc. So at the same time, there was this gap at the university between the privileged few who can work from home and the others. So it created kind of unfair feeling, yeah, unfair treatment and envy and jealousy as well. So leaders, the second case is leaders, because the leaders, of course, they can decide for themselves. Do I work from home? They don't have to ask permission. Yeah. And there are men in this group as well. Yeah, as we said, nine men. Advantage for the difference between men and women here is very striking, because the women are socialized into this organizational structure, in the bureaucratic system, how to work, a strong hierarchy, you have to be present, have to be visible, etc. And a cultural conditioning, social conditioning of women stay at home, because this society, there's huge lack of childcare, which obliges the women to stay at home or to work part-time. Yeah, it was one of my big shocks coming from Belgium, where childcare is available to everybody, like in France, like in Spain, like in Italy. Here, it was not. It was one of the big shocks that I personally had when I started working there. Yeah. So reduction of work hours, if you have a child, it's impossible to work full time unless you earn so much money that you can pay for private childcare. Okay, for the men, these men are all in full-time positions, and it was very funny because they say, this is the day when I can work in peace, when I can do my own thing. Yeah, and work in peace. So they saw it in a very, very different perspective. And they had more time for work, or they would go to the office only for meetings. And because, of course, visibility is important, etc. They did not use the money. You know, the women, when they do this, it's extra money. It is seen as extra money. The man is the breadwinner. And if the woman earns money, it is used for music lessons for the children, or anything like that, you know, especially for the children. I've always worked at home because I'm officially employed for a certain number of hours. So I was not on extended maternity leave at all with my son at the time. I went back directly after maternity leave when he was a few weeks old, and at that time with 20 hours officially, part-time, right? Part-time. So always part-time.
Is correct that there's this?
No?
I was also just wondering about.
Oh, no, of course, because I don't know what, they complained online, they didn't see the
I
slides.
heard it, yes. So that's what you should see, right?
Oh,
And then this one.
I can, oh, how have you been able to follow? Why didn't
It was
anybody
the
say
first
anything?
one. Wait, it's still this one. Let me stop sharing and let's reshare.
No?
It's interesting.
Your
That's what
screen.
that's what we are displaying.
Yeah.
But I don't know why it's not changing. Should we
Stop again. Oh,
restart it? This one?
so there must be.
Yes, that's
We
what we
did it.
did
We've
3
done it
times
3
already.
times. Yeah,
I don't know why it's this one.
okay, let's close one.
Slides
Because
are actually changing now. We can see the slides.
You can see it.
Yeah, they are moving now. It was stuck on
It's
the
not
title.
changing here. That's the problem.
Okay.
For us, it's not changing in the slides.
Right.
But for you, you see the interviews.
Yes, we can see interview sequences.
Okay, so it's something with the projector.
they
and-
can see it and we cannot.
I
Isn't
lost
that
the hotel
strange?
stuff for that one.
You can follow online, of course.
You follow it online? Yeah. But still, it's not normal. Okay.
Yeah, it should not be. There's a chat here as well. What does it say?
There's a,
Are we still on the slides?
yes,
It's understandable without the slides.
yeah. Okay.
It is understandable without the slides.
Yes, keep going, and then I check with the
Oh,
hotel stuff what
gosh.
is happening.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Now I don't think I can move it anymore. Yeah. So one of the interviews, one of the men, the interview I found quite interesting. Hello. Yeah, come in. This and this. Sorry. Yeah.
Szóval itt hiába osztom meg a másikat, ez nem változik.
És újra, nem hiszem, hogy ezzel van a gond. És újra indítod a programot.
Online látják egyébként.
Nem lehet újra indítani?
Hát ezt már
Nem
kihúztam és
nem
vissza.
hanem magát a programot. Tehát mi ez egy PowerPoint?
Igen, igen.
Annyira nem vagyok benne járatos, csak nincs olyan sok járatos vagyok benne.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we will try something else. Maybe now it's gonna move.
Now we start again. Maybe that's a good idea. There we go. Yeah, okay.
Meglátod?
Okay, we have it back. I just need to share also the screen online, I guess. It's this one. Great. So everybody will have it.
Léptetünk, amit hívják, a pointre, hát az...
Thank you. Thank you. How do I say köszönöm? Köszönöm.
Would you like it?
Vízúval fog, vagy később?
Hát, köszönöm később. Ha itt leszel, köszönöm.
Okay.
I'm just not
Köszönöm.
sure if you are able to.
Yeah. No?
Yeah, that's the problem. I don't know why
Yeah.
it's not
Now,
changing.
if we go down here? No?
No, it's
doesn't
not
work.
changing afterwards. Doesn't go to presentation mode. That's the problem.
But the presentation mode is there. Did you?
Yeah, I just went for this one. Are you able to see online the presentation?
Yes.
Yeah, we can see
we can
interview
see.
sequences.
And if I go for the next slide,
You move it from the tab that is showing that
Presentation. We can see the presentation actually.
but does it move for the next slide?
next
It's not
slide.
moving.
No,
can
it
you move
doesn't.
It doesn't move.
No.
It doesn't move now
Please
already.
move it from the tab, not from the Zoom
But we
screen.
have several, we have to close. There are 3 presentations here.
No, it's just one actually. I just have it.
No, see, there's 1, 2, 3, all under my name.
I just opened it once.
We have to close
It's just
close.
one now.
close this
No,
one.
no, you don't. Actually, what is the problem? You're thinking as a speaker to see yourself. Don't follow your image. You just move the tab where the PowerPoint is lying.
Do you see
Just
it
move
now?
that tab. Yes, we can see. Now it is on your Zoom screen. Okay.
Now it's
Now
good.
where is your tab where the screen is?
Okay, okay,
PowerPoint?
it works.
It's good.
It works.
It works now. Thanks.
Okay. It works. Right. Yeah. So here I was looking at the advantages and the disadvantages, right? Here I looked at the difference between men and women. And here we have some interview sequences. Yeah, very interesting comment from a man. I feel sorry for my wife because at the end of the day, unfortunately, I cannot support her as much as I want. It just sticks with her more. So I agree. In the lockdown, when there are really children at home and I still have kindergarten obligation for the child and my wife works, then the issue is we are both in the home office, but yes, that she then makes sure that the children get something to eat for lunch. Why? Because I was not used to that from my routine work. He never thought that the children had to eat when he was working from home. So he had some meetings at the same time, right? Never been considerate to anyone else in my work. Yeah, very, very typical, probably. Yeah. From the two groups, so these two groups, the leaders and the non-leaders, actually, some mechanisms are the same for women, right? This work-life, work-family life balance is a women's issue. It's even if you're a leader, it's not a leader's issue. It's not an issue for a male leader. It's an issue for a female leader. So it is the whole heteronormativity is very, very strong here. For women, a very high workload. Yes, no time for anything else. The economic capital is not significant because it's mostly part-time because of the same reason. Yeah. The social capital is reduced, no visibility in the organization. Actually consistent with all the studies we know about all these disadvantages. Then we have the third case of non-typical, means non-Austrian or IT, right? People in IT professions, they do whatever they like because we need them, because we want to keep them, etc. Yeah, they all have flexibility regardless of categories. So very different treatment, HR treatment in this case. They have control over their work performance. They coordinate their work as they like in their own small teams. And then leaders with childcare responsibilities from other countries, because the university wants to be international, so it attracts people from outside of Austria and outside of Europe, etc. But these people, they have this problem with if they have children, right? What do we do with the childcare? And this has to be managed. So they also get a preferential treatment in a certain way, where they can also organize their work, have much more flexibility to organize their work. And you can notice what kind of tensions it may create. They have a long experience in the organization. The difference is, here women home office for additional unpaid work. The problem is if all these women, they have part-time jobs, actually they work much more than part-time, because in some positions they know they cannot do it. They cannot do that work in only 20 hours per week, for example. So they still work more, but don't get paid for this extra time, of course. Yeah, which is and of course they want to do it. They want to have this kind of ambition in a way to have this a higher position, etc. Yeah. Okay, I think we went through this. Okay. So different valuation, different recognition of telework, of high flexibility in some careers, like in IT, where telecommunicating is normal. Categorization of personnel, yeah. In IT, it's not necessary, but in other work areas, it is. Life situation and socialization are very different for male and female workers. Professional and also national culture in this case plays an important role. And culture is actually much more important than you might think. Yeah, the socialization in society, what is expected of what is prescribed, you know, the prescription, etc. Trust in the employees, it's one of the big issues. It is necessary, but it is an issue. So they wanted to, for example, during the corona, they wanted to have control. Control is very important. How many? So now with the new system, with Teams, we use Teams, MS Teams, you had to be online and you had to be visible. Cameras on, things like that. For some leaders, yeah. So checking, but also you can see how many hours they have worked and things like that. Much more control. Before that, it was flexible. There was no control. Now it has become organized, and so more control. So a kind of change in the organizational culture as well. Yeah. Same mechanisms for women in management positions. It's high workload, etc. Okay, let's see this. We have this. So it's a scientific organization, and I don't know if you know Weber, etc., but it really is this kind of very hierarchical organization, yeah, which you would find, you know, in administration, in state organizations and things like that. Yeah, strong hierarchy and presence culture. Yeah, so very, very different. It's organizational culture, and very difficult to actually have a kind of flexibility in that kind of culture. Control is very important. Control, visibility, presence. We want to see people, even if, you know, if you're at home and you go away for a coffee, you're afraid to go away to take a coffee because your boss might just click in at that moment. Yeah, as usually happens, right? If you're in the office, you go for a coffee, it's okay because you're still visible, you're still around. Even if you chat for half an hour with a colleague, nobody will mind. Yeah, it's a very, very different feeling of control that the leaders have or don't have. Yeah, the pressure on employees has actually grown. So in a way, we are making it more difficult for women with children who have no other solution but to work from home. We're making it more difficult to feel included. Yeah, we are actually excluding them because we have taken away the flexibility. Now you're working from home, but you're still working from 9 to 5. So what's the use of doing it from home? They lost the flexibility they had of going away, doing something with the child, doing something, whatever that was necessary. They lost it. So there's the pressure has actually grown. Although people are happy that the flexibility is possible still, etc. So the ideal worker. The ideal worker is, of course, the male image. Yes, available, no other worries. I'm totally available to my job. And it's the same thing with the teleworker. It is the ideal teleworker is there at their computer all the time, has no other obligations, and is available around the clock. So this is more stereotyping, and you can really see this in literature everywhere in the world, that with the corona and with working from home, etc., the stereotypical tasks for women have been enforced, there's a backlash. There's a backlash. Women have to do the housework, and that has been the same everywhere. So what we found is that one of the big problems is the trust. Yeah, does your leader trust you to work from home? Yeah, are they happy to, or do they want to control at all times? Yeah. Inclusion would only be possible if we take all diversity in consideration, because we also found, but that's not part of this presentation here, that for example, for minorities, be there, for example, visually impaired or whatever, impaired people, etc., and even foreigners in this situation prefer to work from home in order not to be exposed to, you know, insults or bad behavior in the public transportation, in the streets, etc. This is also one of the problems that is really shocking to me in Austria, for example. There's a lot of discrimination and racism. They don't want to hear the word, but it certainly is there. Yeah. So we need to have this kind of flexible work, and we have regulations now for flexible work. So my secretary, for example, she has a right to work from home 2 days a week, but every week she has to ask me for permission, and I have to sign. Yeah, for permission. So it's not automatic. And I understand in one way, because you want to know when people are there. but what does have to be done officially? Why can we not do it, as a small team and just agree? So this kind of control, is from hierarchy is still there. So at the same time, the university wants to attract employees, qualified employees, etc. And the young people they all want to work partly from home. The younger generation, they do want to work from home, at least part of their time. But when they start at the university and an administrative job at the beginning, they're not allowed to for the first year. So this is a kind of, we want those people and we know what they want, but we also want to control them the first year, and they call it bonding, but it is actually control. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. I think the slides was missing.